Hello. Before the Football for Kids podcast starts, I wanted to tell you about a new podcast that I have created. It's called Billions. A bit like Football for Kids, we explore the lives and stories of some of the most amazing people to ever walk the earth. Here's a little bit of a taster. Hello and welcome to the Billions podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this world which we live in, we share it with billions of others, and some of those stand out for doing what they love and what they care about. It might be sports, it might be music, it might be making the world a better place. And there's no reason why you can't follow in their footsteps and do the things which you dream of. So sit back and listen to the stories of some of the greatest to ever do it.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time when I beat Sunday Liston. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time. Never again defeat me. Never again say that I'm going to be defeated. Never again make me the underdog until I'm about 50 years old. That's right. Then you might get me.
That was the voice of the great Muhammad Ali. And this is the story of a young lad called Cassius Clay, who grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, in the United States of America, and how he went on to conquer the world and become the greatest boxer of all time. Make sure that you click the link in the description of this episode for wherever you listen to your podcast and hit the follow or subscribe button for the Billions podcast. Then you'll be notified when the first ever episode drops, which will be on the greatest boxer who ever lived. And that, of course, was the great Muhammad Ali. Hello and welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we are going to look at some of Messi's most magical moments. If you haven't already listened to the episode on Messi, you can listen to that episode to hear about the story of one of the greatest players to have ever lived. Now, as always, before we get into this episode, we need to do a couple of your shout-outs and your messages. And the first one says, "Hi Darren, please could you give a big shout-out to our football team? Mainday Corrie's under-7s in Cardiff. We love your show, especially the episodes on Gareth Bale and Bukayo Saka. Thanks, from Alfie and Jack Fletcher." Well, Alfie and Jack Fletcher, a humongous shout out to you and everybody in your football team. I hope you're all having a brilliant season and enjoying your football. And of course, a massive shout out to your wonderful football coaches as well. And the next one says, "Darren, my name is Dylan and I'm 8 years old from Bondi Beach in Australia. Please can you give my soccer team a shout out, East FC? Also, can you please make an episode about Diego Jota, Kyle Walker and Son? Love the content, 5 stars from Dylan." Well, Dylan, a massive shout out to you and everybody at Easts FC in Australia. I hope you're all having a magnificent season and enjoying your football, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. So, let's get into this episode, shall we? Lionel Messi, along with Cristiano Ronaldo, is the most famous footballer in the world. He's known as the greatest footballer in the world, and if you dropped him into any country in the world, I reckon almost everyone would know who he was. Messi's story is quite a special one, and if you've listened to the episode I did on him in January 2023, you will know all about him and some of his very special moments. Well, let's have a look at 10 of the most magical Messi moments in football. The first one was the very special time that Lionel Messi very first represented his beloved country of Argentina in the World Cup. He lit up the pitch within moments of coming on. Messi was on the bench for the first match in the 2006 World Cup against the Ivory Coast, a game that Argentina went on to win. Lionel didn't get to come on and show how good he was. He had to wait for the second game of the tournament, which was against Serbia. Messi came on as a substitute, becoming the youngest player to represent Argentina at a World Cup tournament. He didn't waste any time, as he was quickly skilling players, performing jaw-dropping skills, and even scored the final goal of the game. Argentina went on to win that 6-0. The second one I've chosen is Messi's first ever goal for Barcelona, which came from an assist from yet another legend. Ronaldinho lobbed 2 or 3 defenders, landing the ball directly in front of Lionel Messi. Messi controlled the ball perfectly, lobbing the keeper and sticking the ball into the back of the net. However, it was ruled offside. Not to worry though, because when you have Ronaldinho on your side, another opportunity will come. And yet again, Ronaldinho lobbed a load of players and Messi got hold of the ball and lobbed the keeper again. This time, the goal counted. Little did many of the fans in that stadium know that he would go on to be the greatest player to ever wear the Barcelona jersey. Now, we all know that Messi has scored some tremendous goals over the years, but footballing experts and Lionel Messi experts say that his best goal of all time came in a game against Getafe, when he went from behind the halfway line, put the ball through 2 players' legs in a matter of seconds, skimmed another 2 players, went past the keeper and smashed the ball into the back of the net. This was the goal that caused a famous commentary clip which we have played on the podcast before.
Ja cap a la dreta per Xavi, assistència de Xavi més cap a la dreta per Messi, Messi, immens Messi, encara 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 Messi, gol, 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 gol,
Number 4. In 2008, at the Summer Olympics in Beijing, Messi went into the Argentina football team, along with some other familiar names who you may have heard of. One of those was the legend that was Sergio Aguero. Well, as you would expect, with Aguero and Messi in the team, they were pretty good. So good, in fact, that they won the whole tournament, and Messi was an Olympic gold medalist. There are not that many footballers whom you may have heard of who have done that. So, yet again, Messi created another magical moment in his football career. Lionel Messi has scored some wonderful hat-tricks over the years, and it's pretty hard to pick the best hat-trick, but one which will stick out for Messi and the Barcelona fans will probably be his hat-trick in the El Clasico in 2007. If you're not sure what the El Clasico is, it's the famous match between Barca and Real Madrid. There's an episode which I did on it. You can search through the podcast and I'm sure you'll find it. Barcelona were at home to their rivals Real Madrid, and with 2 minutes to go, it was Barca 2, Real Madrid 3. Stoppage time was now being played, and Messi had already scored 2 magnificent goals, and Barca were down to 10 men. The ball found its way to Messi, and at speed he goes to the left corner of the box, finding an angle, hitting the ball with such power with his left foot and launching it like a rocket into the back of the net. What's even more impressive is that he was 19 years old when he scored this hat-trick, and the hat-trick was against one of the greatest goalkeepers Spain's ever seen, a keeper called Casillas. We'll have to do an episode on him in the not-so-distant future. The 6th one I've chosen was another very special Messi moment. It was in the Champions League final in 2009. It was Barcelona versus Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, who at the time had a certain player called Cristiano Ronaldo. Barcelona were already 1-0 up thanks to a brilliant goal from Eto'o. And Manchester United were going for it, trying to get one back. However, Lionel Messi, who is 5'7", jumped ridiculously high to get his head onto the ball, powerfully smashing it past the keeper and securing yet another Champions League trophy for Barca. Messi always seems to find the magic from somewhere, no matter the circumstance. Lionel Messi seems to have a lot of fun against English teams. And boy, did he have fun in 2010 when Barcelona played Arsenal. 21 minutes into the game, Messi struck the ball, hitting the ball from outside of the box and scoring an absolute screamer. 16 minutes later, he sneaked another goal in, chipping the keeper. And 5 minutes after that, he chipped the keeper again, scoring a hat-trick before half-time. That wasn't enough though, as in the 88th minute, he stuck the ball through the keeper's legs and stuck himself on the score sheet for the 4th time. In 2003, Lionel Messi created yet another piece of history and another magical moment when he won the Ballon d'Or for the 8th time. He was already a record holder for the most wins, but he's just made it even harder for anyone to break his record anytime soon. But it was also the first time in history that the award went to a player who played for an American team. Lionel Messi hits the history books yet again. Number 9. By 2022, Lionel Messi had won everything. From the La Liga multiple times, to the Champions League, to the Supercopa de España, to the Copa del Rey, and everything else in between. There was just one thing left on his list to win, and that of course was the World Cup trophy. Argentina were in one hell of a game with France, and Messi scored 2 goals. One of those was in extra time at 108 minutes. The game went to penalties and he scored the most relaxed, easy-going penalty of the tournament. And Argentina went on to win the game and the World Cup trophy. Number 10. Well, this is where you lot come in. I need you to help me fill the 10th spot on this list. What would you say was another of Messi's magical moments? If you're listening on Spotify, you can write in the Q&A section for this episode. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review and write in your review what would be in the 10th position. And if you're not on either of those, you can ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. And for all of you super listeners on Patreon, you can send a message in there. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about some of Messi's magical moments. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.